Greetings, boys and girls. In today's homework video, we're going to be looking at fraction equivalence word problems. So we'll be creating equivalent fractions, and we'll also be looking at some special equivalent fractions, which are writing fractions in simplest form. Okay? So know that when we create equivalent fractions, we're either going to multiply or divide. Okay, we'll be doing one of those operations to get this down. So if you don't have your multiplication chart and you don't have your facts memorized, that might be something you want to pull out for today's assignment. Let's get right into it. So they give us a table, and the table below shows equivalent fractions. So we have 4/5, 8/10, 12/15, and then we have to figure out what would go next. So looking at how my numerator is changing and how my denominator is changing, it looks like they're just taking 4/5 and they're multiplying 4/5 by 2/2 and then 3/3. So if they keep up with the pattern, I would imagine they're going to multiply 4/5 times 4/4, which would be 16, and then 5 times 4 is 20. So 16/20. And I see that answer choice here. That would make sense next in our table. So let me give you a moment to jot that down. All right, let's look at our next problem. In the next problem, it says, a grocery store will trade 1 of its fabric bags for 8 of your plastic bags. How many of the store's fabric bags will it trade for 32 of your bags? So I'm thinking I'm just going to write some fraction right here. So 1 for 8 is going to be equal to something for 32. Okay, now I have 1/8 equals something 32. So 8 times what equals 32? Well, if I count by 8s, I'd have 8, 16, 24, 32. So 8 times 4 equals 32, and therefore I would want to multiply 1 times 4 as well, which would give me a numerator of 4. So now, do I see that answer choice? Do I see 4 on here? And I actually do. Notice I don't see 4/32. I just see 4 because I was trying to figure out how many of the store's fabric bags are they going to give. Okay? Now I like that problem because it was set up a little differently, but that's the same concept of fractions. Okay? Let's look at the next problem. Cara got 9 out of 10 test items correct. What is her score on a test out of 100? I really like this question because this is actually how I come up with scores for student work in math, reading, whatever subject I'm teaching. So 9 out of 10 correct is like 9/10. And what they're telling me is out of 100. She got 9 out of 10. How many would she get out of 100? So I'm thinking 9/10 equals something hundredths. So now, I have to figure out, how did I get from 10 to 100? 10 times what equals 100? Well, I know that's 10 times 10. Therefore, I'm going to multiply 9 times 10. Okay, because if I multiply my denominator by a number, I have to multiply my numerator by the same number if I'm going to make an equivalent fraction. So 9 times 10 would be 90. And I was looking for that score. How much did she get out of 100? She got 90 out of 100. Okay, I'll give you a moment to jot that down. Okay, next problem. Tracy buys 7/8 yard of ribbon. What other fraction could represent this amount of ribbon? So I'm going to write 7/8, and look, I see a denominator of 16, I see a denominator of 24, a denominator of 32, and a denominator of 4. So I'm trying to get 7/8 to be equivalent to something with one of these denominators. Okay, so I'm looking at the 32, 24, and 16ths. So to get to 16ths, I know they multiplied by 2 over 2 because 8 times 2 equals 16. So that would be 7 times 2, which is 14 16ths. Okay, do I see 14 16ths? No, but I see 12 16ths. And I know that can't be it. Okay, so I rolled that answer out. Okay, now I'm going to multiply times 3 over 3 because 8 times 3 equals 24. Okay, so 8 times 3 is 24, then 7 times 3 is 21. Do I see 21 24ths here? I actually do. Okay, that one could work. Now look at answer choice A. It's 21 32nds. I know for a fact that 21 24ths is never going to be equal to 21 32nds. So I can also roll that one out. So I'm feeling pretty confident about this one. Now, I will tell you, to get to fourths, okay, for answer choice D, I would have to divide by 2 over 2. Now, I can divide 8 by 2 and get 4, but if I divide 7 by 2, I am not going to get 3. I would actually get 3.5 or 3.5. So that answer choice is also not correct. Alrighty. Let me give you a moment to jot that down. Alright, now for problem 11, they already tell us this is going to be a multi-step problem. So let's read it. Mrs. Lee cut a pizza in half. She cut each half into 2 equal pieces, and then each piece into 3 equal slices. She served 8 slices. What fraction of the pizza did Mrs. Lee serve? So I need to draw a picture to visualize this one. Alright, so I'm starting to draw this problem out because I need to visualize it. So she has a pizza, she cut it in half. You see I've done that. Then she cut each half into 2 equal pieces. So that's just like dividing those, just like that. And then it says, then she cut each piece into 3 equal slices. So now I have, there's 3 slices there, 3 slices there, 3 slices there, 3 slices there. Okay? Then what does it say? She served 8 slices. So she served this slice, this slice, this slice, this slice, this slice, this slice. Let's see how many is that. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So I'm going to write that as a fraction. She served 8 out of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. She served 8 out of 12 pieces. So the question is, what fraction of the pizza did she serve? Oh, she served 8/12. But look, my answer choices are 2/3, 3/8, 1/4, and 1/6. So what I'm thinking of is not even here. So I know I'm going to need to divide 8/12 to see if I can get to an equivalent fraction because all of these denominators are smaller than my denominator of 12. So I'm thinking I can divide by 2 numbers. One number is 2 and one number is 4. So I'm going to first divide 8/12. I'm going to first divide 8/12 by 2 over 2. And I can go straight across. 8 divided by 2 is 4. 12 divided by 2 is 6. So one fraction I got is 4/6. Do I see that answer choice here? No. But I see 1/6. Ooh, I know 4/6 and 1/6 are nowhere near each other. So I can roll that out. Now I'm going to divide 8/12 by 4 over 4. 8 divided by 4 would be 2. 12 divided by 4 would be 3. Now I have 2/3. Do I see that answer choice here? I do. It's actually the first one. So 2/3 would be the correct answer choice here. All right, let's move on to the next one. Remember, you can always pause the video if I'm going too fast. Okay, number 12. Kyle collected 7 smooth stones, 5 jagged stones, and 3 shells at the beach. What fraction is equivalent to the fraction of his collection that is stones? So the first thing I need to do is figure out the total. The total in his collection is 7 plus 5 plus 3. That is going to equal 15 items. So now we're looking for something equivalent to how many stones he has, the fraction of stones he has. So let's see. Stones. They don't say smooth or jagged stones, so I guess they want all of them. So he has 7 smooth and 5 jagged stones. So he has 7 plus 5 stones, which equals 12 stones. So stones represent 12/15 of his collection. Okay? 12/15. Now look at my answer choices. I have 5/12, 4/5, 5/7, and then 7/15. Well, I know I can already roll out 7/15 because there's no way that 12/15 size pieces is going to be the same as 7/15 size pieces. So I just ruled that one out. Now looking at the rest of the answer choices, it looks like I have a denominator of 7, a denominator of 5, and a denominator of 12. So these are all smaller than what I'm starting with. Now I'm thinking about 12 and 15. And I'm going to need to divide, but what number can I divide both 12 and 15 by? Ooh, I can divide all of those by a 3, both of those by a 3. So let's divide 12/15 by 3 over 3. And what do I get? 12 divided by 3 is 4, and then 15 divided by 3 is 5. So I got 4/5. And look, that's answer choice B. So I can select this one. Boys and girls, make sure you don't just select the answer choice B, but you need to show the work. This helps us. I want us to be in the practice of, working these problems out, because you will see problems like this, and I won't be there in a video to explain how to do it. So just be in the practice of showing all of your work. Okay, if you need more time, go ahead and press pause on the video. Otherwise, we're going to move on to problem number 13. Okay, now we are working with simplest form. When we worked with equivalent fractions, we could either multiply or divide. But when we're using simplest form, we're pretty much going to divide. Okay? Now, I can list my multiples or my factors of 20 and 100. There's quite a few of them. So what I'm going to first do, because I'm writing simplest form of 20 hundredths, I'm going to first look at 20 and 100 and realize, hey, multiply by 10, add a 0 to the end. But if I divide by 10, I can just take a 0 from the end. So I just am going to take away a 0. And now I'm left with 2/10. And I like 2/10 because now I can list my factors of 2 and my factors of 10. And there's a lot less factors of 2 and 10 than there are of 20 and 100. Factors of 2, 1 and 2. Factors of 10, 1, 2, 5, and 10. Now, this is a little bit different from finding common denominators when I list my least common multiple. Now I'm looking for my greatest common factor. So the greatest number they have in common is a 2. So therefore I can take 2/10 and I can divide it by 2/2. 2 divided by 2 would equal 1. 10 divided by 2 would equal 5. Let's look for 1/5. And looky, it's right there. Answer choice D. Okay, boys and girls, make sure you show your work. I don't want just the answer. I'll give you a moment to get that down. Okay, moving on to the next problem. Number 14. 12 out of 14 players were on time for basketball practice. Wow, only 12 out of 14. Well, that's good. That's still more than half. In simplest form, what fraction of the players was on time for practice? So now I'm going to take 12/14 and I'm going to write that as a fraction. 12 out of 14 would be 12/14. So now I'm going to list my factors of 12. What can I multiply to get 12? Well, I know 1 and 12, 2 and 6, 3 and 4. All right, now I'm going to list my factors of 14. What numbers can I multiply to get 14? 1, 14, 2, and 7. And that's it. Okay, what's the greatest number they have in common? Hopefully you saw the 2's. So now I'm going to take 12/14 and I'm going to divide by 2/2. Remember, we're dividing by 2/2 because really 2 halves is the same thing as 1 whole. Okay? 12 divided by 2 would be 6. 14 divided by 2 would be 7. So we are looking for 6/7 as an answer choice. And look, it is right there. 6/7 is answer choice C. Okay, let me give you a moment to jot that down. Okay, next problem. They want simplest form of 4 and 24. All right, boys and girls, I'm going to give you a few moments to try and solve this one, and then I'll get you to check back in and see if you got the same answer. So press pause, and I want you to attempt to solve this, and then you'll be able to check your answer afterwards. All right, hopefully you had a chance to solve it, and you saw your greatest common factor was 4, and after you divided 4/12 by 4/4, you would have gotten 1/6 as your answer. Okay, let's look at the next one. Number 16. 15 out of 25 students in Mrs. Taylor's class are girls. In simplest form, what fraction of the class is girls? So they told us 15 out of 25, which is just like 15/25. So I'm going to give you a few moments to go ahead and solve that. Press pause on the video as you work it out. And then I'll show my answer and we'll see if we got the same thing. hopefully when you looked at your factors of 15 and 25, you saw that they shared the greatest common factor of 5, and you were able to divide 15 25ths by 5 over 5, which gave you 3/5. And that, in fact, is answer choice A. Okay, let's look at the next problem. Last problem is number 18. At the bake sale, Connie bought 4 chocolate chip cookies. Kevin bought 4 brownies, and Louis bought 6 sugar cookies. In simplest form, what fraction represents the number of cookies bought? Boys and girls, I want you to attempt to solve this one. Press pause on the video and then solve it, and then I'll show you what I did after a few moments. Alrighty, I hope you had a chance to solve that. So I first found my total number of desserts by adding 4 plus 4 plus 6, and that gave me 14. Now from that 14, that was going to be the denominator of my fraction, because they were asking me what fraction represents the total number of cookies purchased or bought. So to find the total number of cookies, I had to go back in the problem, and there were 4 chocolate chip cookies and 6 sugar cookies. So I added those together and I got 10. So my fraction was 10/14. Now I was going to divide by the greatest common factor. When I listed my factors of 10, I got 1, 2, 5, and 10. And then my factors of 14 were 1, 2, 7, and 14. So the greatest number they had in common was 2. Okay? So I divided 10/14 by 2 over 2, and I got 5/7 as my final answer. That's the simplest form of 10/14. And I looked through my answer choices, and I saw 5/7 as answer choice B. All right, I hope you were able to get that problem. If you missed any of the steps, you can look at what I did here. Press pause if you need to study this a little bit more. To wrap up our video today, we talked about fraction equivalence word problems. So we used simplest form as well as equivalent fractions. Now be mindful, simplest form is actually an equivalent fraction. It's just a special kind of equivalent fraction. It's the smallest way you can break a whole up and still represent the same part of a whole. Okay, so remember, to do simplest form, we only divide. But to generate an equivalent fraction, we could multiply or divide, as long as we multiply or divide by the same number to our numerator and our denominator. I hope you enjoyed. Until the next time, take care.